Bobby Farrell here, week 20, A Journey to Self, a year in the life. I have this stolen moment of peace and quiet to do a check-in, and I feel so blessed. The boys are off at science at the university, and I came home and this morning my youngest had been reading to me in bed, and for that I had put some hot water bottles in the bed. It's been like minus crazy degrees around here for the last few weeks. So we had read in bed this morning with our hot water bottles, and so I dropped them off at science. I made an elixir. I grabbed my new books and the chocolate my beautiful, wonderful, caring, loving sister dropped off for me yesterday, and crawled into my nice, warm bed. I had this beautiful sunspot, and I just spent an hour reading, and it just feels deliciously naughty. My heart is full. As for a check-in, a dropping into my week and like a present moment glimpse at things. This week has really ebbed and flowed between feeling irritated and railing against and ease and flow. And a little bit of restlessness. So quite often this week I find myself wandering the kitchen with this restlessness. So I'm looking for something to fill a need that I'm having. And so no matter what I choose for myself, be it food or a drink, or it's not satisfying. I do not feel satiated at all. And knowing that it's a pattern of an imbalance somewhere in my life, and so just staying present to it. And I have the ability to see the humor in it. So, you know, when the third thing I've tried is still not meeting my needs, being like, oh yeah, Bob, this has nothing to do with like anything external. I'll just stay with it and it'll make itself clear. And then recognizing the spaces and places in my life with my children in which I'm creating conflicts and like butting heads and power struggles. And anyone who knows me knows that I have very strong-willed children, and I've raised them to be free thinkers, so they have opinions and they're not afraid to share them. And so when I get caught up in the doing of things and try to impose like a schedule or a rush or a authoritarian way of being upon them, there's lashback, and I know this. And what I recognize in the here and now for me is I really only feel, I often only feel that resistance and that like crazy making, like need to parent over or whatever, as a learned behavior. It's not natural to me. And the more I lean into that, and the more that I accept that that's not my natural go-to, the more ease and flow is in my life. So when I slip into habitual response and I like try and fall into parenting as superiority and compliance and punishment and like my whole body changes even just talking about doing it that way. I can feel that. My kids can feel that. That's when I'm met with rage and resistance. And the truth is there's rage and resistance flowing through my body as I'm trying to impose these things because they're not natural to me. So our morning this morning has been beautiful ease and flow, and I haven't bought cereal for my children in quite a while now. I don't believe in it. So listening to their conversations each morning about breakfast has been beautiful. I should actually record it. It's pretty funny. So yesterday morning, Seamus made French toast for everybody. He's 8. And then this morning, they found some recipe in the Star Wars cookbook before I had even stumbled out of my sacred space. And so as I go into the kitchen, they're asking, can we make this? I did a quick little perusal of the ingredients, make sure we have them all. And I'm like, yeah, go for it. And so watching them work together to make this, by all intents and purposes, cake, I guess. It doesn't actually have any sugar in it, but it's kind of like a banana loaf. I don't really know. Anyways, watching them work together was absolutely beautiful and totally falls into alignment with how I'm raising my children to be and do and live. And so, yeah, Seamus is reading out the instructions and Zany's helping where he can. And then we fell into this natural conversation about fractions and how they work in the real world, and the fractions of a teaspoon and the fractions of a cup, and the beauty of it. And I know in my heart it can be that simple. And so my kids didn't actually have breakfast this morning until about 10:30, and they were trying to sit down and get some book work out of the way. And they finally looked at me and they're like, I can't do this. I am starving. And so we kind of giggled, and the cake was still pretty warm, but we chopped it up and they got themselves some food. And Seamus has a pillowcase he's finishing decorating so that he can sew with a beautiful, lovely human in our community that's spending her time teaching him how to sew. So he's trying to finish sewing on the last few buttons, and he hasn't really allotted time for this in his day, and he still wants to go skating. And so just kind of watching all of that naturally unfold in their worlds in this absolutely internally referenced, body-led, organic, natural learning experience. It's mind-blowingly simple, and that's the shit that lights me up. Period. Exclamation mark. OMG. This is how I choose to do my life. This is how I choose to raise my children. And I can feel, historically, the spaces and places in my life where I slip into that fear-based way of being with oh my God, we have to learn this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And I truly don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. My children are going to learn exactly what they need to know to be them in a way that lights them up and is meaningful to them. And we're going to have a beautiful, messy, flowing way about doing it. And it's in these moments of complete clarity and knowing and alignment with what I'm creating in my universe for my children on their journey and helping them to facilitate what they want for themselves and actually giving them choice. How holy shit radical is that? My children have choice every day. Every single day I give them a choice. And that's beautiful. And I choose that. I choose that over obedience every day. Every single day. And I know the places I struggle with my children aren't coming from an organic, authentic place. It's when I shift into that fear-based way, into that mainstream parenting, into, the external view of shoulds, that we all feel resistance and yucky and gross in this house. And so I choose to stay in the magical alignment of who I'm becoming and what I want to create for myself and my children. And I gather all that up inside of my heart, and I'm moving forward with that. So that's the end of my check-in time. I have children I have to pick up, and yeah, I'm just so grateful to be me and for all of the presence and awareness and support that I feel.